Okay. So I don't know how you want me to proceed with this. Is in terms of business model canvas. I don't know whether I should go from the beginning to explain what it is, or just because I don't know, yeah, in terms of your knowledge in business model canvas. I can go from the beginning if you want, just to explain what this is all about.
Okay, just to put all of us on the same page, you don't mind,
Mm.
the professor don't mind to play dumb. So start from you can start from zero. I hope I'm speaking on behalf of the rest.
Okay, fine, no problem. Okay, it's just okay. Okay, before I talk about business model canvas, because the earlier discussion that we had on my OBE and a few other things with Datu Saleh, I understand that I want to see how for example, to fine tune to provide more things to my OBE, for example, to cater for certain things. So I thought it would be good if instead of putting bits and pieces here and there, we go into the business model to see, for example, somebody mentioned about the need for security, the need for a cloud structure and things like that. But before putting all that, I think it's important for us to understand what what business model that we want to do in the future, before we just go on to add things that may or may not be relevant lah. So I thought it's good to look at business model canvas and see the overall business model, so that we can go ahead and do what is appropriate. Okay. Basically, a business model is how a company creates value for itself while delivering products or services for customers. Business model is not business plan. Business model canvas is about the high level view. Whereas business plan, after we got the business model, then we can go into the business plan to put things into more details. But business model is high level view lah. Okay. Feel free to ask any question, anything, if you have anything while you I present. Okay, so this is just a basic of business. In business, we have the seller and a buyer, and we have a product or service. So the seller will create something, create product or services. For example, in terms of my OBE, for example, that's the product, and also probably some of the services that you put in to cater to customers' requirements. And then the seller or the company will need to deliver it to the buyer. So that's the product flow lah. Okay, from left to right, the seller will create a product and deliver the product or services to the buyer, and the buyer in turns um, um, will pay lah. Okay, will pay to the seller. So that's the money flow from right to left. So that's from supply chain aspect lah. Anybody? Okay. So the other aspect is in terms of the philosophy of business. Of course, this is very basic. We want to any business will want to create profit, and profit is revenue minus cost. So we want to increase the revenue while reducing the cost. So these are the basic of business, and the business model canvas is structured based on these things. Okay. And bear in mind that we call it canvas, canvas. I don't know what's the word in bahasa Melayu lah. Canvas, because it's kain rentang, satu kain rentang. So that means everything is there. So it makes it easier for us to understand the whole thing, instead of referring to this and then to another paper later, another sheet of paper for other aspects. So this one is a canvas because everything is there, which make it easier. Yeah. Okay, so this is basically the structure or the business model canvas. This is similar to the one that I mentioned earlier, where seller creates the product and deliver to the buyer. So you have the create aspect, the product aspect, and the deliver aspect. And at the bottom is the sustainability of profit, where you have the revenue streams and the cost structure. Okay, so it follows the basic structure of business. So that makes the business model canvas powerful. It's not just putting the boxes here and there, but it has special meaning to it. Okay, so in the create aspect, we have three components actually: key partners or key partnership, key activities, and key resources. So these are the things that companies will need to have in terms to create the product or services. Uh, so, uh, um, uh, uh, and then after that, we the business has all these things, and it will create the product or services. And the product and services must have value propositions, because if it doesn't have value proposition, then customers will not appreciate the service or the product. Okay, and the right hand aspect is the deliver aspect, meaning the delivery to the customers. So we have the customer relationship, customer segments, and channels. Okay, a customer segment is very important to understand who are our customers. Yeah, in terms of, for example, my OBE, um, our customers, local customers, private universities, public universities. Are we also targeting global customers, overseas customers, or overseas high level, higher education overseas, or because different customer segment will have different needs and different requirements. So that's why when I hear the terms like, oh, we need to do cloud, we need to be to secure the environment and all that. So once we understand which customer segment that we want to target, then at least we know, oh, this particular customer segment, they need cloud computing. This particular customer segment, they don't want that because they fear that a security might be compromised or things like that. So once we understand that, then it makes it easier for us to plan. And channel is uh, how we sell this. I mean, how customers buy from us. Sometimes via online, sometimes we have a physical store, sometimes we sell it via Facebook or things like that. Yeah, or social media. And customer relationship is how, in terms of how do we have relationship with the customers, whether we have a WhatsApp group, whether we send emails, whether we have a customer loyalty program, or things like that. So these are the things that we need to figure out once we understand who our customer segments are. Okay, so at the bottom there, in terms of sustainability of profit, then we have the revenue streams and cost structure. Notice that in the cost structure is on the left, because a cost structure is about the key activities, key resources, and key partners that will require costs. Okay, when we have partnership with people, then we need to pay in certain ways. For example, with the supplier, we need to pay the supplier, and also these are the cost activities that we want to do: the marketing activities, selling activities, promotion. All these activities will require costs. Resources that we need to have, the people, the finance, the intellectual property, for example. So this will require cost. So that's why all these components, it has a cost structure at the bottom. Whereas the deliver component will have the revenue streams at the bottom, because once customer buy from us, customer will pay the money to us. So that will bring revenue. So these are the revenue elements. So how do we want to charge the customers in terms of, is it a one-time charge? They pay us one time and that's it? Or is it by subscription base? Or is it services that they pay for us, or whatever? Okay, so it depends on us on how to do things. Yeah, so that's basically what this is all about. Okay, so that's basically what business model canvas is. And in terms of what actually we want to discuss further, it is up to us now whether, so this is I'm showing just the sheet, a blank sheet of what business model canvas is, and we can fill in the blank here to see what is appropriate and how we want to tackle this. Yeah, so I open this to the floor, to all of you to understand further what do you want us to do now in this meeting, whether you want to go through one um, part by part to understand our business and to create a business model for our business, and how is it, or do you want to understand further each of these particular segment, so that I can explain further, and then we get better idea on how to do it. Okay, I can. Okay, I'll just go one by one lah. So first, value proposition. What is value proposition? Um, is value proposition is what's so good about your product. Why should your customers? I mean, I as a customer, for example, why should I buy your product? Will it uh, fulfill my requirements, or what? Or if it fulfill requirement, why should I buy from you, not from other competitors, for example? Yeah. um, it's not about your idea or product, or it's about how you bring value to the customers. Okay, satisfying customer needs, and that's why you need to understand all about your customers requirement. It's about solving a need or problem, not only solving their needs and problem, and do it better compared to your competitors. Okay, so some of the questions that we want to ask ourselves when we discuss about value proposition is that what is compelling about your product or service. So what? Yeah, I think you, professor, will have will ask this kind of question to your student. So what? You think your research is so good? So what? What is compelling about your product or service? Why will your customer buy or use your product? And what core value do you deliver? And which customer needs are you satisfying? Yeah. So that's about value propositions. About customer segments. Um, yeah, your customers do not exist to buy, you exist for them, so it's not what we call that, you cannot take things for granted. Yeah, why would they buy from you even though your solution meets a requirement? But why would they buy from you? Why? Maybe they want to buy from other people, from competitors. Yeah, so geographical differences, social demographic, all that will come into the picture. Yeah. And for my OBE, for example, some of the universities who buy this probably just want to use it for their certification, or for their, what do you call that, what's the
Accreditation.
accreditation. Some just also want to use, besides accreditation, some also want to use it for their lecturers to record all this. Some may want to go extra. They also want the students to access the solution. So that's another level that we need to look at. Yeah. So some of the questions on the customer: who are the customers? What do they think? What do they see? What do they feel? Or what do they do? And who are your most important customers? Okay. The next part is channels. Yeah, channels is about how your product gets from your company to the consumer or to the customer. Yeah. Before this, we have the like the if a shop, for example, we had the physical store. Now we have people have they can order product via website, via web, mobile, or via Amazon, via Shopee, Lazada, or whatever, or via Grab, for example. Some of those, the food industry. So what sort of channels are you looking at, or you want to have? For example, if your product, you want to market this to overseas customers. Maybe you want to have an agent somewhere, in which every country that you want to go for. So these are the channels. So some other questions: how are these propositions promoted, sold, and delivered? Yeah. So these are the things that you need to understand. So we have the product, and how do we sell this product and deliver to the customers through which channels that your customer want to be reached. Which channels work best? How can they be integrated into your and your customers' routines? So that when you have certain channels to the customers, it seems transparent to them. They don't need to do, if possible, they don't need to do new things because that may be difficult for them. Okay, so we need to understand all this. Yeah. And the next one is customer relationship. Yeah, customer relationship is about how does a company get, keep and grow customers. Okay, so for new customers, what kind of relationship you want to have to get them into buying your product. Do you provide? Do you have a kind of seminar for them to um, so that you can promote your product to them, or you have a webinar, you have whatever it is, in a conference or just face-to-face meeting with them, sales call or whatever. Or so that's the pre-sales aspect. Once you have managed to sell to them, what kind of relationship do you want to have with them in terms of support structure, for example, a service, after sales service, how is what kind of relationship you want to have with them. Yeah. And then how do you retain, how do you grow them? So once they sign up for you, they already install your system, for example, how do you grow them so that whenever they have new requirements, then you add in the new requirements into the system and you enhance the system, how you keep the relationship going. So that's the customer relationship. And some other questions are, how do you interact with the customer through their journey? So their journey is not just to install and finish. After that, after sales, and also after that, they need to add on to the module, for example, so that there's still the journey that they have with you. What relationship that the target customer expects you to establish? So you also need to understand from their perspective what kind of relationship they value. Okay, how can you integrate that into your business in terms of cost and format? Okay, the next one is in terms of a revenue model. How does the company make money from each customer segment? Yeah, because we have all these things, but if the revenue model is not good, it will not bring in money into the company, and it will not survive. Because in every business, we are looking for profit, because we are not charity, for example. So how does a company make money from each customer segment? Who are the most valuable customers, for example, and how do you keep them growing? Whether you have direct sales and after that you have a subscription service, or you have support revenue from support services, or what? Okay. So some of the questions in the revenue streams are, for what value are your customers willing to pay? Uh, what and how do they recently pay? How would they prefer to pay? How much does every revenue stream contribute to the overall revenues? The next one is key resources. Okay, key resources is about resources that we have. What are the resources that we need to have in order to run the business? Okay, so what are the most important assets required to make the business model work? Some, of course, finance is important, money is important. To start a business, you need the model, the capital, all that. Money to pay for the salary and things like that. So finance resources is important. The other resource is physical. Do you need computers? Do you need a space to rent? Do you need a building? Do you need all these things? Intellectual property, in terms of your system, how do you manage the IP of the system? Yeah, in terms of human resources, you need software engineers, you need scientists, you need researchers, you need HR people, you need admin, you need management, all these people you need to think about. And then in terms of key resources, some of the questions to ask: what unique strategic assets must the business have? What key resources does your value proposition require? What resources are most important in distribution channels, customer relationship, revenue streams, and all that? Yeah. And then after that, the key partnerships. Who are your key partners and suppliers needed to make the business model work? Yeah. So in your case, I don't know whether you need to have suppliers, but you need to have, for example, if you don't don't have people to write the software code, for example, you may need have partnership with people who supply the resources to manage the coding and all that. For example, you may need partnership with overseas people if or agent if you are selling this overseas, for example, or you need partners with government agencies, government department, for example, because of accreditation and things like that. Yeah. So yeah, what key resources are we acquiring from them, and why do we need to have all these partnerships? So who are your key partners or suppliers? What are the motivations for the partnership? Yeah. So you cannot just have a partner, but the partner must be motivated to work with you. Not just our company is motivated, but if the partner is not motivated, then that's not going to work. Okay, the next aspect is key activities. What are the most important things the company must do to make the business model work? In case my OBE, for example, the thing that company must do is to keep enhancing the product, yeah, in terms of software development, software enhancement, for example, to innovate and to solve a problem. And so these are some of the things, and marketing activities you need to do, for example, support activities you need to do, for example, and other things. So what uniquely strategic things does the business do to deliver its propositions? What key activities do your value propositions require? Yeah. And last but not least is the cost structure. What are the costs to operate the business model? Yeah. The fixed cost, the variable cost, everything. So what are the most costs in your business? Which key resources or activities are most expensive? What are the business major cost drivers? How are they linked to revenue? And at the end of the day, of course, revenue must be more than the cost. Otherwise, we won't be in the business long. Okay, so that's basically what this business model canvas is all about. And yeah, so this just giving you example of Facebook, for example, um, their business model canvas, how it looks like. Yeah. So yeah, Amazon, for example. So now that's all. Do you have any question or